All right. Hello, everyone. Let me give you a brief overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. So tonight's webinar is all about our College of Natural Sciences and Mathematics. We've got some faculty members here, some staff members, as well as some current students, some of which who are graduating in a couple days. So that's exciting. We'll be able to talk about the pre-health advising, we'll have a section on that. We're also going to have a section on the Honors College. And then we're going to hear from a bunch of different students who are in different programs, different walks of life. We've got PhD candidates, people graduating, we've got juniors, so all over, and you'll be able to hear about their experience. But again, if you could just let us know your name, what year you are, what do you want to study in college, and then what you're most looking forward to in this webinar. Okay, so we have one senior. Okay, so you're headed to UT in the fall. Awesome, that's great. Learning more about honors and back to MD. Okay, great, welcome. So we can get started with our webinar. So our first section, like I mentioned, is gonna be pre-health advising. We've got Dr. D and Ms. Kelly that are going to talk to you all about pre-health and as well as the Back to MD program. So take it away.
Hello, students. I'm Dr. D, Deborah Hendricks. My students call me Dr. D. And I am joined today by my wonderful colleague, a huge cheerleader and encourager, Ms. Chevron Kelly. Shout out to stop my video while I present, and then I will turn it on when I come back, okay? Miss Kelly and I actually both started around the same time in the fall, the end of the fall of 2019, and our office is brand new. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary at the end of last year, and now this semester makes us a 1.5 years old, which is still pretty new, but we are growing, and we're super happy with all that we've accomplished this 1.5 years and all the students that we've met. Our office was specifically created to serve the students that were interested in pre-medical, pre-dental, and pre-veterinary medicine. And there's many steps involved to properly prepare to be a strong candidate for med school, dental school, or vet school. And we want our students to be the strongest candidates possible. So the pre-med path, you're looking at both allopathic and osteopathic, MD and DO, and the Back to MD program that you already mentioned is within the MD path. And then the pre-dental, we have a UT Case Western pipeline program that we'll talk about a little bit later, but that's in the pre-dent path. And then we serve the pre-med population, which is a DVM degree. These are just the highlights of what the programs we've developed already. We want you to understand the admission requirements and the application process, and we're going to offer support all along the way. So we do individual and group advising. We assist with the application process, which is called the CAS system, the Centralized Application Systems. We've partnered with Princeton Review and Kaplan to get discounted test prep materials to help with the MCAT, the DET, and the GRE. Those are the tests needed to get into med school, dental school, and to vet schools. We also work closely with the career consultants at the Career Center on campus and the success coaches. And together we're a team to really help you to become the strongest candidate possible. This year we had over 118 different meetings, workshops, or panels with health professions, med students, doctors, dentists, and so forth to really help strengthen our students. We also offer scholarships, and this past year we started a Rocket to Rocket mentoring program. When we launched the Rocket to Rocket program, we started with 18 pre-health student leaders that really helped us map out the direction we wanted to go in our Rocket to Rocket mentoring. And so far, it grew from the last summer till this spring right now, and it's going to continue to grow. Now we have future medical students have signed up to join our mentoring family. Students who participated in the Rocket to Rocket mentoring reported noticing an increase in their sense of belonging on our campus, and also a sense of confidence and becoming more involved in student organization, volunteering, and shadowing. Overall, they enjoyed the opportunity, though, just to connect and build professional relationships with other like-minded students. In addition to great mentoring, we also offered and continue to offer volunteering and shadowing opportunities over at the Simulation Center. So I would like for you to hear from one of our students, or one of our mentors. Her name's Rebecca. So if you can listen, hopefully you'll be able to hear it.
Hi, I'm Rebecca and I volunteer at the IIST. I'm a junior at the University of Toledo studying biology with a pre-medical concentration. Here I've been able to network with the staff and doctors and take part in unique opportunities when I'm not working. I was able to assist with M1 blood pressure labs, M2 hospital simulation sessions, and then shadow a joint replacement surgery on a cadaver. I had never seen a doctor drill into actual flesh before, and that was an experience I only got here. I'm excited for you guys to come volunteer with us.
So that's Rebecca, and she was saying how excited she was, some of the experiences that she observed and actually hands-on over at our simulation center. The picture on the top right is some of our students during their orientation. That was their first day of volunteering over there, and they were in the sim lab, and Christina Alvarado is all the way over to the right. She's the director, and she was pointing out what they were observing with some of the graduate medical education and things that they were seeing. We actually, over on the health science campus, have such amazing opportunities for students to see firsthand some of the things that goes on with medical equipment. So Rebecca was talking about getting to see a knee replacement and using a cadaver leg, and they were using new equipment from some of the local vendors, and surgeons were actually letting the students stand and observe and ask questions. So some pretty phenomenal experiences our students have gotten to walk away with, even in the midst of COVID. We get many questions from students about volunteering and shadowing, but probably the most popular question we get from high school students is about picking a major. So what majors do pre-health students choose? Well, here's a list of a few that our students have chosen, but it's important that you remember that it's really, you can pick any major you want and head to medical school, dental school, or vet school. Its most important component of this, though, is to understand what the admission requirements are for the medical program or dental program that you're interested in. So some of the suggested courses you can see on the screen: bio, chem, OChem, physics, psych, soc, biochem, statistics, and of course your reading, writing, all of these general things that you're taking your gen eds, I think. So those are your foundational courses. The schools can set their own requirements. So even though we'll walk through these with you, we really will help support you in developing a clear understanding of your path and what it takes to get you to from where you are now to where you want to be. And we will help you, and we want to empower you to become the strongest candidate possible. We will be your biggest encourager and cheerleader along the way. Again, speaking of cheerleader and encourager, I want to turn the rest of this short presentation over to my wonderful colleague, Miss Kelly, who is one of the most positive and encouraging people I know. So Miss Kelly, take it away.
Why, thank you so much, Dr. D. And the feeling is mutual. We have an awesome office, and as many of you will come to learn, that you can come into our office and it'll always be positive energy. So what I'm going to talk about a little bit today is, if you're considering pursuing any of these pathways, pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dent, what the admissions process looks like for those. So over the last year, we have made changes to where you can apply test optional. There is no requirement as far as needing a specific test score or GPA to have a concentration in pre-med, pre-vet, or pre-vet. You can select it on your UToledo or common application after you choose your major, or even if after selecting everything and you start at the University of Toledo and you decide to add the concentration at a later time, you are welcome to contact our office and we will meet with you to add either of these concentrations that you are interested in. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Back to MD program. I see that we do have a few students here who have already been accepted to the program for this fall. So welcome. I know some of your names and have chatted with a few of you. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the program and are interested in applying in future terms, if you're not currently a senior, we do have requirements for this program as far as applying. And one of those is to have a high school GPA of 3.5 and above, and we do require test scores. You will need a minimum of an ACT of 28 or higher, or 1310 on the SAT or higher. Admissions, I accept applications all the way up until May 1st. So even if you have taken an ACT or SAT and you didn't score as well as you might have thought and you would like to retake it, you can still apply to the program and just contact me and let me know you plan on retaking it, and I can still consider your application. For this pathway, you do have some restrictions on what your major can be. You can only choose a major in the colleges of natural sciences and mathematics, arts and letters, or the bioengineering major in the College of Engineering. That is the only major in the engineering department that you can choose. So you would choose a major from any of these three colleges, and you have to have the pre-med concentration in order to be considered for this program. And there's no additional information that's required. When you complete the application, just simply check yes on the application after you've selected your concentration and major, and I'll review your information for admission. So for this pathway, it's for students who are coming directly out of high school. So we do not take transfer students. You have to come directly out of high school. For this program, admission is not guaranteed to the College of Medicine. However, the interview is, as long as students meet the criteria. So that criteria would be to maintain a GPA of 3.5 and above during your studies at the University of Toledo, as well as meetings with me each semester and attending mentoring events I provide. So outside of the Rocket to Rocket mentoring program that we have in the college, in our office, that is for any student, there's a separate mentoring program in Back to MD called BMD Squared. And that's where you'll have a mentor, a peer mentor, once to help you prepare to apply to medical school. So you can be part of both of those. You do not have to choose one or the other. After meeting this criteria, the MCAT is waived. Students are not required to take the MCAT for their interview and admission into the College of Medicine through the Back to MD pathway. As of right now, we do not have a number on the cap of applicants that can apply. So as many students that apply and meet the criteria, they'll be accepted. Because the numbers are so small, we have not had to put a cap on the number of students that we accept. So any students that apply and meet the criteria will be accepted. So now I want to talk a little bit about our program demographics. Now you can find this information on our website. The link is here, utoledo.edu/success/pre-health advising. And you can click on the Back to MD pathway link, and right under need more information, you'll see a tab that says frequently asked questions. So here you'll see from the conception of the program in 2015 to now, how many students have began the program each year. So 2019 was our largest cohort. We had 89 students. Those students currently are sophomores and will be preparing to interview this summer. So they will be reviewed for their eligibility in just a few weeks here now that the semester is wrapping up, to see out of those 89 students which will be eligible for an interview. And what makes you eligible, again, is maintaining a GPA, meeting with me each semester, as well as attending any mentoring events that are provided. So one thing you may notice is that why is there like a 50% jump from the number of students who start to who's eligible, which is a great question. We have to consider that many students change their major within the first semester, first year of college. So many students who came in really wanted to do medicine may have changed their mind. Also, you have students who do not maintain the requirements. And so that therefore makes them ineligible for an interview. And then the next class for 2020, they'll be eligible next year. So students in this program interview at the end of their sophomore year or second year that summer, and they will apply that summer, and then interviews will take place during the junior year. The way the program works is you go through the application process and interviewing through your junior year. You'll receive a decision that spring semester, so that if you're accepted, everything's great, we can pursue forward. If you're not accepted, that still gives you time to take the MCAT and apply to other medical schools. And our office, myself, Dr. D, are there to assist you with all of those things, for helping you to prepare your application. Our next program that I'm going to chat a bit about is our pre-dental program. So we have an agreement with Case Western Reserve University School of Dental Medicine to have a program for students to apply, attend school at the University of Toledo, and matriculate to Case Western. This again is another program that has a restriction on majors. You must be a biology major for this program, and you must have a GPA of 3.5 and above, and an ACT of 30 or higher, or SAT of 1350 or higher. Again, you'll complete a comment application for this program, but also there will be an application that you have to submit to our office for review. And again, you can find that information on our website, and Dr. D has put the link in the chat for students to go ahead and click on and find. So now that is the end of our presentation. I'm not sure if we're going to do questions all the way at the end after all presentations, but we will be available for any questions.
Thank you so much.
You're
We
welcome.
are going to do questions now for
All right.
you two for back to MD. So I don't have any in the chat right now. There is one general question about if, with the back to MD program, if you are allowed to have classes transfer over from, let's say you take, chemistry or biology at a community college. And the answer to that is yes, we do accept transfer courses. If you want to check out which courses will transfer in, you can go to a website called Transferology, and I can type that in the chat as well, so you can see what class you took at a community college and what it would count for us at UToledo. Do we have any back to MD questions or pre-health advising questions? And again, if you don't ask them now and you think of them during the other presentations, just feel free to send them to me in the chat and we can ask at the end for all of our panelists. Well, all right, so we can start heading over to the Honors College. So that'll be part 2 of our webinar here. And we have Josh Martin with us. So he's the Assistant Director of Student Services, and he's the go-to guy for the Honors College. So I will let him take it away.
Thanks, Emily. It's great to be here with everyone today. I recognize a few of the prospective student names here on the call. So it's great to see you again. And we're also joined by some current honor students, Sam Simpson. I believe Alaina Carson is also in honor. So they'd be helpful, points of perspective if any of our attending students have questions, that might be better directed for some of our current students. I do have a PowerPoint, Emily, if you don't mind sharing a screen with me, or maybe that's already been.
Yes, you're good, Josh.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, so here are a few overview sort of benefits or, sort of taglines we have for thinking about some of the advantages of being an honors. So the honors curriculum is designed to seamlessly fit into the major of any course on campus, or any major you can select. So that could be for biology, exercise science, bioengineering, right? Any of the STEM programs, or even, some of the non-STEM programs. I was a philosophy major myself. We also really emphasize small class sizes. So the classes that we teach directly are capped at 19, and a lot of the honors sections of classes you can take in your major will also oftentimes be a smaller class size, which allows more of a personalized opportunity to to learn more directly from some of the most celebrated specialists on campus, but then also to work with other high ability students and again, more of a personalized kind of environment. The courses we teach, and also oftentimes the courses in your major tend to be taught by some of the more celebrated faculty on campus, and there's really a through lines sort of sense of dedicated honors faculty in your honors experience. And our courses are set up to satisfy gen ed requirements and really emphasize professional skills and things like real world engagement. So the bedrock of our coursework, our curriculum, is sort of realized in the 6 C's. So critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, cultural competence, and community engagement. We really try to do something unique with the honors experience here at the University of Toledo. Other honors units will sometimes be designed around what you might call a great books tradition. So that was kind of what honors was like when I was here as a rocket. Doing this to myself, but about 10 years or so ago. It was reading some of the most celebrated works from Western literature, and that was interesting. I mean, those courses taught me how to sort of think and maybe write and articulate, communicate verbally better. But we try to do that, deliver those reading comprehension and communication skills with today's honors program. But we also try to do things that emphasize interdisciplinary thinking, teamwork, again, closer mentorship with your faculty, and really try to design a payout that is really emphasize real world application. So I'll talk a little bit more about how we do that in our courses in a moment, but before I get to the academic requirements of the Honors College, let's talk about some of the perks. So priority course registration is one of the biggest selling points, I think, for our students. So incoming students that are in the Honors College, for example, will be able to register for classes a whole month ahead of their non-honors peers. Very, very helpful, especially for students in the majors we're talking about today: bioengineering, biology, chemistry even. So a lot of the exercise science, a lot of the higher trafficked majors have a lot of students in them. So, if you know that you want to balance, research position on the side of your classes, maybe, do part-time work, or you also know that like you really want to take, cell biology with William Taylor or whatever, the ability to register for classes that much in advance of what other students are able to do that are not in the Honors College really allows you to, stay on track to graduate on time without, just with a lot of peace of mind, but also, again, to really set your schedule up the way that you want it to be. We also offer honors exclusive residence halls. I'll show you some pictures of those in a moment. If you have the opportunity or had the opportunity to visit campus, that would be a great opportunity to look at those spaces. We really emphasize professional development or honors courses, both in the ones that we teach that are sort of capital HON, but for this group in particular, I think you're going to get a lot of that, again, directed, personalized attention from your in your major classes, from your actual major faculty. We also do experiential learning opportunities. I'll talk more about those in a moment, and offer experiential learning grants for research. And we have pots of money that you can apply for to do funded research, while on campus. So, very important for students in those hard and even those soft sciences to be able to get into the labs, work with faculty, and really develop your research portfolio, especially if you're looking at medical school or graduate school after graduation, or even if you're just looking to get into the what might be thought of as the increasingly competitive job market, right? To be able to have those experiences coming out of undergrad is very very helpful to be competitive. So overall, here's sort of an idea about what you're doing to earn the honors medallion. So you're expected to achieve at least 27 honors credit hours. Those are not additional to what you're doing to earn your bachelor's of science or your bachelor's of arts, right? It's all built into that degree pathway. It's just that about a quarter of your time here at the University of Toledo will be spent in honors sections of classes in your major, and then a few classes that we teach. So for example, to get some of those 27 honors credits, you might take an honor section of cell bio, or an honor section of kinesiology or something like that, right? As opposed to just the normal section. We also want our students to maintain at least a 3.3, which is, you'll notice, lower than some of the thresholds you're expected to keep, for example, in the Back to MD program. So I imagine, that 3.3 shouldn't be inspiring any concern among our audience today. You're also doing an honors thesis or capstone project before graduating. So this is a wonderful opportunity, again, to find a faculty specialist on campus who is doing research in the field that you're very interested in. The university has people that specialize in astrophysics and Alzheimer's research, cancer research. So really whatever sort of area of interest you have, you can find somebody who specializes in that, who's actively doing research in that field. And through the Honors College, the thesis or capstone project is a real helpful facilitation to work with them, get that experience, and when you're graduating, then to actually have a research project that you were able to achieve, which is a really helpful point of distinction when, again, looking at med school graduate programs or entering the job market. So again, these are the various ways in which you're earning those 27 credit hours. You're taking core HON classes that we offer. I'll talk more about in a second, but you're also doing, again, those major sections of classes that are specially designed to give you a more enhanced and deeper experience in your major. Again, oftentimes featuring smaller class sizes and working with some of the most impactful instructors we have on campus. You also have the option of taking out what we call honors learning contracts, which, if there happens to not be an honor section of a particular class that you're really interested in, you have the option of taking out the contract as sort of a one-off basis, just you as a single student, sort of honorizing your course and then developing a personalized project, working closely with your instructor. So again, it's a real opportunity to personalize your education and really pursue research that you're interested in. So the first of the 3 classes that many of you would be taking, although there is some flexibility, particularly in the College of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, which with the courses you'd be taking, but this slate of 3 classes I'll talk about, I think is what representative at least of what most of you would be doing. The first class would be Honors 1010. This is set up to count as a general or as a core humanities requirement. It's a cool opportunity, again, to be in a small class size with other high ability students from different majors on campus. So most of your time in undergrad, you'll be spending with other students in your particular major. Being in the Honors College is a great opportunity to then network with students outside your major and to really sort of diversify your worldview and really meet other talented, amazing people. This course is often taken in your first semester or usually your first year or so. So it's a really great shared foundational experience in the Honors College. We also offer Honors 2010 and another course I'll talk about in a moment that really emphasizes learning about the communities that we have here in the Toledo area, and by extension, learning about a lot of the the nuances in the human condition sort of spread globally. So a multicultural Toledo take students on walkabout experiences through the Toledo area, learning about its history and some of the neighborhoods that have, that are how the city is sort of carved out into different neighborhoods, and really teaches students a lot about public health intersections with your major, and really I think gets students prepared, again, especially in sort of medical fields or these pre-professional areas, really gets you thinking about challenges in your discipline, years before you're prepared to enter it. So again, when you're taking that next step in life, these classes really sort of already have you thinking as a professional and thinking about the kind of, for example, bedside manner that you want to have with a diverse patient population as a practicing doctor or nurse or whatever. So there are a lot of professional payouts really no matter your major. And then we also have Honors 310 community engagement, which will place students in small interdisciplinary teams. So you might have a biology student with a bioengineering student, with somebody in humanities, with somebody in business. And what they're doing, these teams are working with local nonprofit organizations in Toledo that have a need for some sort of creative solution for a problem they're facing. So for example, we've worked with the community care clinics in town, which helps deliver medical attention to the underprivileged, and our students then might help them figure out ways in which to communicate more clearly how to live healthily, right, to people in the Toledo area. We've also had students work with Toledo Grows, which helps sponsor or support community gardens in town, and they help to design a solar array for Toledo Grows to install on their campus to help just power some of the things they do. So really, whatever interest you have, whatever background, there's really cool ways that community engagement can kind of again get you thinking about what it's like to be a practicing professional, and to and then really at the same time to actually do and promote real world good, right? Even as an undergraduate student. And then one of the other cool things about community engagement is that you're actually getting trained in grant writing through the class. So that's one of the mechanisms we look at to be able to realize what our the ideas our students are generating is for them to actually sort of help the community organization think about how they would apply for funds to help pull off whatever it is the students plan. So I also want to talk briefly about some of the honor success stories we have, just to kind of illustrate what you can do in the Honors College. We have at the top left here McKenna, who was a chemical engineering student, went off and worked for the British Petroleum refinery plant out in Tacoma, Washington. We also have Ianos next to her, who's working with Dr. Heather Conti in this photo. Ianos is now, I believe, off actually at Case Western, I think, doing the pre-dent program. So she's really excited for her future, and what she's doing here is working with Dr. Conti on what's colloquially referred to as thrush. It's a sort of an oral fungus kind of thing, and there's a lot of research Dr. Conti does sort of surrounding that. Ianos is one of those wonderful students that's helping her actually do this research, and I believe Ianos actually had a publication out of that research, or at least was a sort of a secondary investigator on one of the things that Dr. Conti was actually able to publish. So our students, again, at the University of Toledo, because of its sort of diverse research portfolio, or some of our students are actually able to do published research as an undergraduate student. Next to Ianos, we have Nick, who helped discovered a star in his own on campus. He was an astrophysics student. At the bottom there, we have Sydney, who was a political science student who went to work for Marcy Kaptur, local congresswoman, and then went to work for the Kamala Harris presidential campaign at the time. And then we have Hunter next to her, who's a nursing student who went off to Johns Hopkins to earn his PhD in nursing. And then Christina next to him, who is having sort of a developing theater career. I mentioned a moment ago honors living. So these are some of the dorms we have on campus. Again, best seen physically in person if you're able to, but if not, this might provide you an idea of some of the space and accommodations that honors living provides. So this picture under the McKinnon Hall photo, this is actually all room for one student, even though the picture is set up featuring two students. This would just be for one person, all that space for one person. We also have a picture here of the Scott and Tucker Hall suites. So you might have, a suite where you have two students kind of living in conjoined area with a shared common area, but this would be all one person's space. We also have the Honors Academic Village, which is privately owned and operated, but we work very closely with them. They're, sort of legally off campus, but just for all practical purposes on campus. It's the newest constructed dorm on campus, and it's just really wonderful. So again, one of the wonderful benefits of being in the Honors College. We also do study abroad trips. Sort of in the context of the pandemic, it's been sort of a challenge, right, to sort of talk about this as a selling point, but hey, vaccination rates are they're picking up. So we hope to be able to reprise these roles, and we're planning to do that again this upcoming spring. So we have historically sent students to Central America, including a number of years ago at Guatemala and Nicaragua, more recently in Jamaica, and students would go on a week-long spring break trip over spring break to do these service learning trips, where they would help paint a classroom, or actually help maybe construct something for underprivileged communities in these areas. And they're going on a trip with an honors faculty member. They're small group sizes, so you might have several students, just like 7 or 8 on a trip. And it's both sort of a cultural immersion experience, but again, it really emphasizes service learning and getting out in the world and doing real good. One of the cool things about these trips is that they tend to run about $200 to $300 for students after all the scholarshiping that we're able to offer through the Honors College, and then also the general scholarshiping through the University of Toledo. And also, excuse me, because we have a unique external relationship with a service learning organization that helps defray the costs. We also do academic trips that our dean goes on with students, again, small class sizes over spring break to the Galapagos Islands and Ecuador, mainland Ecuador. So she's been going down to these countries for about 20 years or so. She's a chemical ecologist and plant biologist by trade. And she just knows all the flora and the fauna, and students are able to hike on volcanoes and swim with tortoises and just do all these really amazing things. Those trips tend to be a little bit more pricey for students, usually $2 to $3 grand once you consider airfare and all those kinds of things. But again, they're really wonderful experiences. And those are more academically inclined trips, right? So the Galapagos and Ecuador trips are actually ones where you're learning about sustainability, some of the cultural practices of native peoples in those areas. So just whatever flavor of trip you're interested in, we tend to offer something. We also do an honors learning community, which is really cool. We do a lot of programming for our students, both in the LLC, but then also apart from it. So whether you're interested in amusement parks or the Toledo Zoo, or some of the fine arts we have in town, whether it's the orchestra or symphony or theater, that kind of stuff, we really have an emphasis on exposing students to some of the cultural gems in the city, and then also helping to provide the groundwork for some amazing lifelong friendships. So that's the extent of my presentation. Let's see, stop share there. So I think we're gonna, if I understand correctly, move ahead to perhaps another portion of the presentation, and we'll loop back for questions afterwards.
We actually are going to do a couple questions now for you.
Great.
So I have a few. So thank you for the awesome presentation. It makes me wish that I was in the Honors College when I went to college. One of the first questions I had was that for the Honors College, so there's a difference between the Honors College and then honors societies.
Yes.
How do you get inducted into honor societies? Does that happen through the Honors College? And then what would be required for those?
So those would be apart from honor. So it would be a separate process. Usually there is an established officer on campus who is associated with whatever. So for example, if there's maybe a biology honors organization, they're usually like as a faculty member in the biology department who might run those things, and they would manage outreach to students that qualify and to tell them about what's attractive about that kind of organization. We don't have anything specifically like that here in the Honors College. The HLC, the Honors Learning Community, is sort of a flavor of that, but in some sense, the Honors College is just a sort of a big service, sort of organization. So. I'm sure that no matter your area of interest, either academically or extracurricularly, there's something here at the university that would interest any of the students on the call.
Awesome, thank you. One more question, and this kind of goes for all the presenters that have presented thus far. A couple students have asked about where can they find a list of the honors courses that they may have to take, the back to MD courses that they may have to take if there are any, etc.
So I'll chip at that question first, just because I think I might have a more simple answer. So we do have, let's see here. I wonder if I can. So once I'm done with my question, with my colleagues are responding, I think I'll drop a link into the chat that kind of spells out some of the core classes you'd be taking, and another link that tells you a little bit about the courses that should be in. But rest assured that you don't have to come prepared with knowing what classes to take at this point. So when you come to campus for that initial orientation and what we call rocket launch, your advisor will have a note that you're in the Honors College, and they'll, for that first semester, place you into the class that you for honors that you may or may not need. And then once you get beyond that point, you start registering yourself for classes, we'll message you quite a bit. To say these are the classes you want to be in to stay on track. So don't worry about that now, but for any of those really enterprising students that want to learn a lot more about what classes they'll be taking, I'll drop a few links in just a moment into the chat that will give you more information.
Great, thank you. Dr. Hendricks or Ms. Kelly, do you have anything to add to that?
I can just say that I don't know if Ms. Kelly wanted to jump in there. The courses that I listed earlier, the sciences, are the foundational courses. There's no additional coursework other than meeting for the back to MD, meeting the requirements in that major, but there are the requirements that she mentioned earlier of attending sessions and so forth. So the list of classes that they were asking for would be the list of classes in their major that they choose.
Correct. Yes, I was going to chime in. Yes, Back to MD program is a pathway program. It is not a major. So there are no courses connected to Back to MD. It will be those pre-med courses that Dr. D listed and discussed earlier that needs to be worked in. And for many science majors, those courses are already built in, so there isn't anything additional. But again, those conversations about any coursework will be made with their academic advisor. For Back to MD, it is not a major. There are no course requirements for this program.
Thank you. And again, just to emphasize, so you will at rocket launch, so rocket launch for our seniors, that is your orientation. So at your orientation, you're going to meet a lot of different people, but one of your main people that you're going to meet would be your academic advisor. And they're going to know the ins and outs of your program. They're going to know what classes that you're going to need, and they can help you with that 4 to 5 year plan. So I'm not seeing any more Honors College questions. So I'd like to send us off to our third and final section with some of our current students. So we've heard from faculty and staff members about getting involved in all these different areas. And now here is the living proof of them. Here are some of our students who are involved. So the first one that I'm going to call on is Sam, who is, oh, here he is. All right, Sam, I'm ready when you are.
All right, so my name is Sam Simpson. I am currently a biochemistry major, and I've just finished up my junior year. And I am here to talk about getting involved on campus, not just within the College of NSM, but also just getting involved in general. So I'm here representing the student chapter of the American Chemical Society that we have on campus, and I'm currently the president, and next year will be my 3rd year as president. And so basically how I got involved to start when I was a freshman, when you're in your orientation class, because everyone is required to take an orientation class with everyone in their major, their first semester. My TA, she was really good about outlining, different involvement opportunities on campus. And one of them that caught my attention was, it was called Program in a Box, which ACS holds, and it's pretty much a live stream that the national ACS group puts on every year, or every 6 months actually. And they talked about the chemistry of Mars, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And so I got to meet a lot of people in my major just at that one event, and that led me to join the group. And I went to all of the events that they have, and it was a lot of fun. And I think the big part of it is I got to meet people in my major, and just doing that, like, it made all my classes so much easier. You have people to talk through things with, like if you're writing a lab report, you've got people to kind of go through it with. And so that's good with an organization in your major. But you can also get involved with organizations outside your major. My freshman year, I was involved in an improv group called Free Pizza. And that was a lot of fun because there were students, all over campus that would come, and we'd do improv for a few hours on a Thursday. And so that's a great way to meet people. Just if you go on InvoNet, I'm sure you'll hear about this a lot when you start, but there's a website called InvoNet. You can see every single organization on campus with descriptions and how to contact them. And you can find out about, the things that they do by contacting those emails. And a lot of the times they'll have their meeting times, so you can just show up at meetings you're interested in. And with extracurriculars, you're not in a legal binding contract with them. If it ever gets to be too much with your coursework, you can always just take a break from an organization. You're not stuck with participating all the time. And so I guess, so back to ACS, I have a few pictures that I can just kind of go through from some events that we've done. Shoot, okay. Okay, so these are just a few pictures I pulled together before the meeting that we've done with our group. So on the top left, this was just a social event we did because we don't only just do, you know, chemistry demonstrations. We do a lot of social events to kind of promote bonding among the group. I guess if you want to say bonding with a chemistry group. But we also do things like last week we went to Delta High School and we talked to students about majoring in STEM. And so that was a lot of fun. We've also been to the Toledo Public Library where we got to do a bunch of different chemistry demonstrations for kids and they got to participate. And that was a lot of fun. But here at this social event in the top left, we basically got together and it was around the holidays. So we did like a Secret Santa thing. And we also did a little chemistry as well, where we boiled a solution of borax and added some pipe cleaners shaped like Christmas trees. And the borax will crystallize around the trees. And so we made these cool crystal gardens. So that was a lot of fun. Bottom left here, this was a demonstration we did last fall for a group of education majors who are interested in teaching middle and high school science. And normally we do this demonstration for younger students where around Halloween, where we'll put dry ice in a cauldron with some water. And if you don't know, dry ice, when it's at room temperature, it sublimates automatically into gas. And so we would take a solution with soap and make a bubble over the cauldron and watch the bubble will just grow. And then normally when kids are watching it, they get to poke it. And I think that's awesome because the smoke just goes everywhere. But, you know, the college students enjoyed it as well. And we had a lot of fun doing it. And then, so up here in the middle on the top, this was a fundraising event that we do to raise funds for our group to raise money to purchase goggles that we can resell, to purchase study guides for students to buy for the standardized exams they might have, as well as raise funds to perform more chemistry demonstrations. And so for here, we got a group together and we participated in the stadium cleanup after a football game at the Glass Bowl. And so that was a great way to raise money for our group, as well as just, you know, get together with friends in our major. And then down here in the middle, this was at an involvement fair, which they always have at the beginning of each semester. So when you hear about these towards the beginning of the semester, when you start, definitely go to them because most organizations will have a table where you can talk to them, get put on their email list and hear things about their group. And then so at this one, we had someone in our group really dedicated go through and make a cupcake for each element on the periodic table. And so that was a great way because it always catches people's eye when they see cupcakes and free food. And so we got to tell a lot of people about our group and we got a lot of new members. So if you see anything about an involvement fair, when you start next semester, definitely check it out because it's a great way to see a lot of organizations and hear about what they do. And then up here on the top right, this was similar to what I was mentioning earlier. It's an event that our group holds normally when before the pandemic, because you'd have to get a large group of people together, but the National ACS does a little live stream and talks about a certain topic in chemistry. I think this one was the chemistry of food, and we do raffles during these and have a lot of fun. There's trivia as well that we do. And so finally, this is a picture down here of a study session we do. We also hold study sessions for students in entry-level chemistry courses. And we coordinate with the professors and find out what's going to go on their exam. And we kind of go through all those essential topics for students, and students have found them really useful in the past. And so that's one of the things our group does as well. And so that's all for that. Oh, just stop sharing this. So Yeah, as far as getting involved on campus, there's a lot of ways you can find out how to get involved. They always send out emails, like I mentioned earlier, with the involvement fairs. Those are great places to go because it's a really condensed area and there's a ton of orgs there, and they're all usually organized by like discipline. So if you're interested in a certain area, you can go to one of those and see all the organizations in that area. In your orientation class, like I mentioned, your TA is going to most of the time really connected on campus and will be able to kind of tell you about different opportunities that are going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm also an RA at McKinnon Hall. I'm an honors college ambassador. I volunteer at ProMedica. I do other volunteer work with UT with the bridge. So if you have any questions about, getting involved, not just getting involved with ACS and the chemistry department, but also with any of those or any on-campus living in honors, just feel free to let me know. Sorry, I'm trying to wrap this up because I know we got other people to get through.
That's okay. Thank you. You're very involved, and that's all very good information. So the next person we are going to hear from would be our graduate. She's leaving. She's graduating and heading on to her career. So Alaina, take it away.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. My name's Alaina. I am a senior graduating and walking on Saturday, so very exciting. I'm an environmental science major with a concentration in biology, and then I have a minor in sustainability. So I have a little PowerPoint to share. Let's see. All right, hopefully everybody can see this. So there are many different types of environmental groups on campus. There's Greening UT, and then GUTS, which is they're all about doing community gardens. There's the Society of Environmental Advocates, which is a student-led group that usually does some community work. There's also Student Green Fund, which is a student organization that is works with like budgeting and awarding grants to environmentally friendly proposals, things like that. And then we also have BOSEF, aka Building Ohio's Sustainable Energy Future. So I'm the co-president of this group. I joined pretty much immediately my freshman year. I saw it at tabling, so it was a really great event to just kind of sign up and then go to the first meeting and see what everybody was all talking about. So yeah, I've been a member for 4 years, and I've been one of the co-presidents this past year, and then part of the exec board the other 2 years. So it's been a really great group to get involved in and invested in. Yeah, so here we go. So what is BOSEF? So we're a group of students and faculty from the University of Toledo, and we are all about fostering ideas in sustainability, environmental work, anything to do with the environment. And we really want to help spread this to the community, UT's campus, as well as the surrounding Toledo community. We also usually collaborate with Bowling Green State University. They have a chapter there. And so we can get together and work in both areas, just kind of spreading this idea of helping the earth out. So it's a lot of sustainability things. I know a lot of you guys might be like pre-med majors, but don't count us out. Environmental issues are kind of popping up everywhere, and it's a field that's really growing. So I know like my sustainability minor is very helpful because you can apply that to any field in the world, like anything. It's something that will become very important in the future. So if you're interested at all, I would highly suggest jumping in. BOSEF also helps you make a lot of connections throughout campus and in the surrounding community. A lot of people who joined have been able to create jobs based on the skills they've learned. So kind of on the side, I've got Herbivores, which is it's a student-led pantry where you can actually have fresh fruits and vegetables delivered to your door, all for the students on campus, as we kind of live in a food desert. So it's hard to get some fresh veggies and stuff like that when you're not even living on campus, maybe just a little bit further. And that was started by one of our former members, Jason Gonrig. And then we also have Glass City Community Solar, which is a huge organization focused on bringing solar power to the lower income and Section 9 housing in Toledo. So we actually have two of our old presidents, Blake and Evan, they've joined this and they've created an entire job for themselves. They were first entering a competition, and then next thing they know, they had these permanent positions working actively in the community, and now they're designing solar arrays out in like Colorado. So it's pretty cool stuff. So within BOSEF, we have many different things we can focus on. We have 4 main groups, and everybody works together, so it's not exclusive. You can kind of bounce around. But we have our solar group, our wind group, our education group, and our biomass group. And each one tends to work on different things throughout the semester. For example, like the solar group this year, they have a solar golf cart, so it's completely powered by solar energy. That's pretty cool. They were working on that. I will brag a little bit. They entered the U.S. Department of Energy Solar District Cup to create a giant solar array in the shape of the UT crest, and they got 3rd place in the entire Central Florida division. So that was pretty cool. We also have a wind group, and they have created, looked at like wind tree designs for putting on campus. They've printed a 3D turbine or a wind turbine. So a lot of cool stuff like that. There's an education group, so they usually work a lot with Toledo Public Schools to kind of engage students in STEM. I don't know if we've touched on this a little bit, but there's a lot of disparity in the types of people that join STEM communities. So being able to reach out to those in lower income areas and kind of helping them realize like, this is possible, you can do it. Fostering STEM ideas to people who wouldn't normally think about that is always a great outreach program. So they work a lot with younger students, things like that. We also have moss voltaics or biomass. We create a moss voltaics project, so energy using moss. We've compared composting programs across higher education institutions. We create a whole poster on that. And then we also work with like the community gardens in the area. So growing fruits and vegetables and then giving them to pantries for others to receive. We also attend some events. COVID has kind of messed things up a little bit, but we're hoping to get back on track this following semester. So we have STEM in the Park, which is at Bowling Green State University, where students, younger children from all over can come, and there'll be environmental groups like ours. There'll be local businesses. I know even like Toledo Zoo has come down there and had some posters and things like that. So it's a very fun and interactive event where you get to work hands-on with the people who want to learn. We also have Earth Fest, which we usually have an on-campus celebration every year. This year we had to switch things up, but we created a website so that people could go visit and still learn about sustainability and kind of gather those ideas. We also go to Columbus usually every year and present our posters that each group will create based on their main project for the year. So we'll get to present those in front of like governors, statesmen, some really big important people. So that's always really cool. We also usually go to other symposiums in the area. So sometimes like Bowling Green will host the Northwest Ohio poster showcase event. We're hoping to host that soon. So a lot of opportunities for presentations too. And then here's just some more pictures of everybody, some stuff at Earth Fest, STEM in the Park, even just putting the solar arrays on like yourself. It's pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, I've been part of this group for the past 4 years and I have made millions of friends. Like I would not change joining this group for the world. I just think like getting involved, even if it's not something that's exactly your major, it's still really cool and interesting to diversify yourself and learn new things. And I think just being able to give back to the community is really great too. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool.
Okay, our next panelist, we have Zach, who is a PhD candidate. So Zach, welcome.
Hey everyone, sounds like there's a diverse group here, medical students, environmental people. I'm heavily in the environmental world. My focus is on fisheries, and I represent the American Fishery Society here today. So I did my master's at University of Toledo, and then I started my PhD. So I've been at Toledo for about 4 years now, and feel like I'm well acquainted at this point, and there's a learning curve, so it's good to attend events like this. My research focuses on a species of fish in Lake Erie, and I've been thinking about that for about 4 years. Previous to this, I worked in the fisheries field. I went to school in New York, my undergrad for fisheries. So I've been in that world for around 13 years now, I suppose. And I'm treasurer of American Fisheries Society right now. It's a subunit. So we're actually part of the Ohio chapter of the American Fisheries Society. I guess I should mention that the American Fisheries Society is a national group with an international presence. And then each state has its own subchapter. And we're a subchapter of that chapter at Toledo. And our role is to connect undergrads interested in fisheries to people in the field, provide them with professional experience, which equates to paid jobs, either with us in the lab. I just hired someone recently to help me out on my research, and we connect people with other professional departments, both at the federal and state level, occasionally private. So really just trying to make those connections. As a graduate student, we're an in-between. And so we can easily put our hand in both pots. We can grab students, undergrad students, and then connect them with our professional network. And it seems to work out pretty well. And we also host quite a few professional events and try to work on developing skills, niche skills. In our case, something like fish identification or net mending. We often take, well, in the pre-times, we would take field trips to aquariums and meet the directors of those places and trying to bridge those gaps as much as possible and make that transition from undergrad into the professional world or the graduate student world as seamless as possible. I don't know if anyone here is interested in environmental stuff. We think broadly about the environmental world and have those contacts also, but our world focuses on the fisheries aspect of it. And I work at the Lake Erie Center, which is the University of Toledo's research center, which is about 25 minutes from main campus. It's a place I don't think many people know about or get to go to, but if you're interested in environmental research, fisheries research, wetland research, you will probably find yourself at the labs out there, and we can hook people up with jobs. I have hired med students in the past, undergrads, and she helped me out in the lab. She was great. She got to get her hands dirty, and then she ultimately just went back to the medical side. But those opportunities are open to everyone, anyone that is interested in learning more or getting experience or making a little cash.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We have one more panelist. Rob, you gotta bring us home. So save the best for last. That's what they always say. So
oh yeah, sure.
we have Rob here to talk a little bit more about the Society of Physics Students.
So yeah, I'm Rob. So I'm an applied physics major. I'm finishing up my junior year right about now. I'm kind of unique for our department. Most of us are either astronomy or solar research, especially in applied physics. I do atomic physics because what a lot of people don't know is that we have facilities such as a particle accelerator, like what's behind me right now. But yeah, I'd like to talk about SPS and what that's done for me. I am president of SPS now, and I've been in SPS for 3-ish years now. SPS stands for Society of Physics Students. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let me just open up my PowerPoint real quick. Where'd you go? All right, share screen. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you're good.
All right, so like I said, we're Society of Physics students. So I'd like to talk about why I joined SPS. I joined SPS in my freshman year. And when I came to UT, I was looking to get going pretty fast. So I put a lot of thought into the different things I would consider for why I would join any group. And I chose SPS because there's a lot of good opportunities there, such as networking, resume and CV building. I also was looking for some friends with some common interests, knowing that a lot of people who are interested in hard physical sciences like physics tend to be a little less social. So trying to find people that share these interests can be tough. A place like SPS is actually really good for that. And there's also the more traditional things, such as looking for people to help you with your homework and actually doing physics so that you get a better handle on it. And there's also the fact that a lot of us want to try and get engaged in research and also spreading physics and astronomy to other people. So thinking about all these things, I really was encouraged to pursue it. Now, since I joined SPS, I've had tons of experiences. One thing I should say is our membership is completely open to the public, so anyone from any major can join. In fact, we have people from all kinds of different majors in our group right now. Like I believe we have some art students, as well as we have a pharmacy major. It's actually a council member. As I should say, there are general members as well as council members. So what I mean by that is you can have people who just show up and hang out with very little commitment, while others are council members and help make the tough calls, decisions, what we should be doing whenever we have our meetings, which right now it's about every week during the semester. I joined freshman year as a general member and worked my way through various different positions, from going from a general member to being secretary to working as a webmaster, dealing with our website and our social media, and eventually becoming president. And since becoming president, we've actually become a much more active chapter, which is kind of surprising considering the current times. Now, what did SPS really bring to the table for me? There was a lot of different networking events and research talks at different conferences. Here at the physics department at UT, we have a yearly undergraduate research talk. It's through SPS that I actually got to engage in research. We also sometimes have conferences. There is a PhysCon, which is something that SPS occasionally goes to, as well as different SPS chapters have their own conferences. I actually went to one a couple years back. We also do various outreach events. As Alaina had mentioned before, BOSEF's done STEM in the Park. We actually did STEM in the Park with them a couple years back, I believe. And also there's the Choose Ohio First Scholarship Conference, where people who are on the Choose Ohio First scholarships, they go present what they're doing, whether it's research or coursework they're looking at. We also do physics demonstrations and other various demonstrations. There have been times that we've collaborated with some chemistry groups to go do demonstrations over in South Dining. And then other than this hard stuff, we also just have fun nights. Some nights we have pizza nights, liquid nitrogen ice cream, as well as having just some fun movie or game nights. We also have a annual cookout that we recently just did. But as I stated before, through SPS, there's tons of opportunities. One minute, I went too fast. Like for example, I started doing research through SPS with Dr. Irving, who is the advisor for the SPS. I started doing research with him with atomic physics using UT's linear particle accelerator, Thea, which just so happens to be one of only 2 in the country that are the way it is. There's only one other, and I believe that's the St. George sector at Notre Dame. And doing the research with Dr. Irving has given me plenty of opportunity to get experience, as well as present this research at various conferences. And through engaging in my coursework, the work I've done with SPS, as well as the research, I've gotten several scholarships. And much of this work and networking I've done through SPS actually allowed me to engage in an internship last summer where I worked at Argonne National Lab, and I actually performed a project in collaboration with CERN, which happens to be one of the biggest research groups in the world, working in high energy particle physics, nuclear physics, that kind of thing. But all in all, I think it would be a good idea for anyone of any major to come join SPS. You get plenty of research opportunities. We have internship options because our SPS is just a small chapter compared to a larger national organization. The national organization actually has all kinds of career options that you can work into. We have all kinds of opportunities to engage in physics and astronomy in case people want to actually see it in action. We can help out with homework, perform fun experiments, and most importantly at all, make good friends. We actually have done quite a bit of fun stuff this semester. Like for example, a good physics demo, we have a old projectile motion trebuchet experiment that we do. That's actually what we opened up this year with. But it's been fun. So I hope you guys are interested.
Thank you so much for explaining all of what you've done within the physics department and as well as how you've been involved. So there's just one question about getting involved, and I'm going to pick on Sam for this one. So Sam, because you talked about this in your part of the presentation, what are info tables? You know, you talked about how there's going to be a lot of organizations in a big area. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so a lot of the time when they have these, they're at the beginning of the semester. So it's when usually classes haven't picked up too much or even before classes start. And they'll have them usually in like the student union in the big hall rooms. And basically it's just a bunch of tables lined up around the outside and in the inside in another square. And representatives from each organization are there with like flyers that talk about when their meeting times will be, as well as descriptions about their group. A lot of times they'll have like handouts to give people. You can also get added to like, a lot of organizations have group me's where they communicate with their members. And so that's a great way to kind of get involved with the group right away when you're at the info fair. But yeah, a lot of organizations do it, and they're usually organized, like I mentioned earlier, by discipline. So like if you're only interested in your major or organizations within your major, you can see all of the organizations in one area. And then otherwise you can kind of get a taste of everything while you're there. But yeah, it's a great way to find organizations on campus. And I went to them as a freshman, and I've been there since as representing ACS, and they're a lot of fun.
Great, thank you for explaining that. I know sometimes it can be confusing. We throw out all these terms that are so, you know, that we're used to them, but when it's an outsider's perspective, you may not know exactly what it is. So awesome. Thank you all for sticking around and hearing more about our programs here with NSM. I will just have a quick slide I'll show you. So we have a couple opportunities for you guys to come and visit and learn more about the University of Toledo. So we do daily visits Monday through Saturday. So you can, there's a morning session and an afternoon session. And we have a couple fun events coming up. So we actually have a big charter bus that we got wrapped, and it says the University of Toledo. It has a big Rocky on it. We're bringing that bus to Levis Commons, so in Perrysburg, Ohio, next Wednesday. So if you want to come play cornhole with us, talk to admissions and meet some prospective students and some future Rockets, come visit us there. We also have a Residence Life open house. So Res Life is opening up all the residence halls and giving you all a more in-depth tour of those. As well as we have some pretty cool tours coming up called the Twilight Tours. So May 18th, 20th, and 24th. The 18th and 24th are just a behind the scenes, you know, what you wouldn't typically get on a main tour. And the 20th, which is my favorite one, we are inviting you and your furry friends, so your dog's on campus, and we'll take you on a tour of campus and let your furry friend explore UToledo as well. And then lastly, we have preview days for our juniors. So Saturday, July 23rd is when our next one will take place. But thank you all for visiting. Here's some of our social media handles if you want to stay in touch with us. For my seniors, if you have any questions, reach out to your admission counselor. We'd be happy to help you. But again, thank you all so much for visiting, and we will see you in the fall. Have a great rest of your night. Bye.